What is up, W Sports Podcast listeners? Jimothy and Tubby, and we are back because you guessed it. The playoffs are set in stone pretty much as we're recording this. The last game as we record is just going to be the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. No big deal. It's 2-14 and two teams. One's going to get home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs, and one has to go on the road literally next week. So a lot on the line for that one. So we're not going to do a whole lot with predictions on that one, but we're going to recap all of what happened in Week 18. And one thing is for sure, we hope that all of y'all did not have any fantasy football this week. But Tubby, man, I hope you're ready for the playoffs, man, and welcome back to the show.
Yeah, if you had fantasy football this week, your commissioner's dumb.
Your commissioner's dumb, yeah. Noted Tubby does not have us play in Week 18, but maybe, Tubby, you would have liked to because maybe you would have had a chance to win.
Oh, no, I had a lot of my big name guys out.
Oh, we would have been dropping everybody for a bunch of no-namers. It would have been great. But, all right, well, let's just jump right into it, Tubby. As we go into the postseason, locked in on the AFC, you got the Chiefs, obviously number 1 seed. The Broncos get the 7th seed. The Bills, they get it. There's a lot of these backup games that were played here towards the end. Any of the seeding that you're like, hey, this team wins out because, or they got the winning hand, I guess, maybe for just thinking through to next week's games, the way things are rolling out?
I would say the Chargers have the upper hand. Like, if we're talking like upsets, potentially, I don't know what the spread will be, but just because the Texans haven't played great football over the last month, even with Nico's played great since he's been back, but it just seems like they're off right now. And Harbaugh knows how to win. That defense is tough, and Herbert looks completely different.
Did you see that stat? It was on just a second ago before we hit record on this, that the last 2 games the Chargers have out time of possession their opponents in the last, like, it was like 80 something minutes to like 37 minutes. It is insane, and they're doing it right now in the game against the Raiders. And it's he knows how to win. Do you ever notice he has those grandpa glasses on though all the time?
Oh yeah, he's got his grandpa glasses, and I think Walmart slacks on. I'm pretty sure he goes to Walmart and get his khakis. Listen, I'm not mistaken.
Winners win, and he's making decisions that keep on winning. So the other team I would say also got the winning hand here is definitely the Ravens. To get a Steelers team that the last month has played like one of the worst offenses in the league, has a lifeless defense. This is a division game where I don't know, did they sweep them?
I believe so. In the last one, they
stomped them,
smashed them.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. Not the problem, I guess, but that's my concern. Is usually you can't go 3 in a row. It's just so difficult. But I don't know. I'm feeling okay about it right now.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you're like, but we've seen the Steelers play those last few weeks. They're not looking great. The offense is looking out of sync, and George Pickens is being a big time diva, and that's not what you want heading into the playoffs.
And his game was absolutely atrocious. His stat line, brutal. He's just not doing anything helpful. I will say, let's just get a little correction here. They split the series 1-1. And I remember us talking about this and how the Steelers schedule lined up to where it was almost all 6 of their division games were in the back half of the schedule, and that's how it played out. I think they split everybody. The Bengals 1-1, the Ravens 1-1, and the Browns they went 1-1 against. So I think that just shows you the inconsistencies of this team as you look at it. So I don't know. I feel pretty confident, and we talked about the Bills and Lamar Jackson. There's a lot of 2,000 yards rushing for Saquon Barkley. We don't have to get too far into this. But I think without a doubt, to me, especially watching the game on Saturday, the MVP should be Lamar Jackson. This is his best year yet, and he's not getting any of the looks in comparison to Allen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's the first quarterback ever in NFL history to have 40 passing touchdowns and 4 or less interceptions. I think he absolutely deserves it. I think Saquon should probably be more in the discussion than Josh Allen. I think Joe Burrow, even not making the playoffs. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish what Josh Allen did this year. Was 4 straight seasons with 40 touchdowns. Great first quarterback in NFL history. Do it. And it was supposed to be rebuilding season, but I mean, we're looking at numbers. I mean, Joe Burrow, the numbers he put up, if they had a defense, this is a team that you're looking at. I mean, even if it was like a halfway competent defense, this is a team we're looking at, a playoff team and a team that no one in the playoffs is wanting to play because they can put up 35 points on anyone in a blink of an eye. But I think, yeah, Lamar Jackson absolutely deserves the MVP with the way he's played this year. And just a testament to him. He has become a much better passer this year than he has been in the past. Now we'll see if he can do that in the playoffs. I think maybe we're going to get a different Lamar this year than we've seen the last few playoffs. I think he's kind of really honed in on what his inefficiencies were in the playoffs, and going to be a lot tougher. And now it'll be interesting to see what happens with Zay Flowers getting hurt.
Yeah, that's a tough blow.
Yeah, that's a big blow for them because he's their number one wide receiver. Mark Andrews has really stepped up the last month and a half, so that helps. But you still need that number one go-to wide receiver for him because Rashad Bateman's not that guy.
Yeah, and I feel as confident as ever if I'm a Ravens team outside of Rashad Bateman injury, but seeing that chances at their playoffs because they run the ball well. And they said this on the broadcast too, and I was glad they mentioned it. They said if they don't get too cute and try to outthink the opponent, just give Derrick Henry the ball 20 plus times throughout a playoff game, and you should be in a position to at least win the game at the end.
Yeah.
And I look at this Ravens team. The Bills, the Chiefs, Ravens, all three of these teams look really strong. But honestly, the Chargers are going to be a sneaky team. And then the Broncos absolutely throttled the Chiefs today, 38-0. And I'm glad that who was it? The former Bill Cowher, the former coach for the Steelers. He's like at the halftime, he's like, "All right, everybody, cool it." I mean, Bo Nix is doing good, but you can see Steve Spagnuolo is just out of his mind right now, knowing he can only play cover 2, cover 3, cover 2, cover 3. Like they're just not able to do anything. A bunch of backups, but the Broncos they made the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. And Bo Nix, he threw the ball downfield, had a really great game. How for real a legitimate threat are they to the Bills? You think as we go into playoff prediction week, which we'll do later?
I just don't see them. I think they are. They made it to the playoffs, which is great, but outside of beating a second string Chiefs, they have one win. Yeah, they have one win against the rank with an opponent with above 500, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. It's Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was week 2.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know if Bo Nix can elevate his game enough to compete with one of the best postseason quarterbacks. Even though he doesn't have a championship, the numbers for Josh Allen in the postseason are insane.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And they're going to be at home. That crowd, great fandom, Bills Mafia over there. So, but they did break the streak. They really had Peyton Manning all over the building. I feel like he's more attached to Denver than he is to Indy at the end of his post-career, which is kind of crazy to me. But things didn't end well, I don't think, with the Colts, of course.
No.
So anyway, on to some happy news. If you're a Commanders fan, this hasn't been said often enough. They're in the playoffs. They clinched the 6th seed with the help of the Packers. Lost today, which we'll get to in a second. But the Commanders do get the win. Jaden Daniels, a little bit of an inconsistent season overall. But here they are with 12 wins this year. And back in the playoffs.
Yeah. He played out of his mind this year. That defense, has really stepped up lately, has played good, especially in the secondary where they've had some issues. That'll be the thing. Can they get Marshawn Lattimore back next week? He's only played, I think, 2 games for him since they traded for him. That will be a massive get if they can get him back for that game. But it's going to be tough. You travel on the road against the Bucs, who we saw Baker last year against an NFC East team in the playoffs and absolutely smash them. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and the thing that the Bucs have to do is run the ball really well, and I think they'll be in a really good position. That's what sets up Baker Mayfield and what he does in the top elite category is that play action pass. He's so good. So I don't know. That's a little sneak preview of our later in this week's episode as we break down the first week of the wild card rounds, playoff matchups. But you look at that one. Obviously, they win. The Packers. We just mentioned them a second ago. They lose on the last second to the Bears. The Bears were that losing streak ended as they go into the season. Caleb
Yeah.
Williams had some good plays, but any takeaways? I mean, Jordan Love, I do think I think he's fine. I think he was ready to
Yeah.
come back in the game if Willis couldn't end the game.
Mhm.
But I mean, how big of a loss really is this? Is this a momentum killer?
I don't think so. Just because I mean, he played 1-2 series, really wasn't much, and I think really the biggest thing for the Packers injury wise was Christian Watson getting hurt. I mean, those last 2 weeks he's came up and left the game with injuries when he was playing really good football for him, doing what they expected him to do early on in his career, and that was stretch the field, get down field, and it doesn't look good. It was a non-contact injury on opposite knee for the one he hurt last week. So I think they're probably a little bit more concerned about that because I don't think Jaden Reed is completely healthy either. He's hasn't played great the last 6-7 weeks of the season. So I think that's probably the more concern. And then the secondary, I mean, they're giving up passes like crazy. But the one thing I will say, that defense that they played on that last play, I don't know exactly what you're doing. I understand you don't want them to throw it to the sideline, but you gave them a wide open pass in the middle of the field with 15 seconds, enough time to get down and kick a field goal.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I mean, clearly the move DJ Moore made to the outside, I mean, corner bit on that, thinking he's got to get to the out of bounds.
Yeah.
And they left way too much out over the field, even with that stacked formation that they have the receivers. They did the stacked formation almost with the corners 3 deep, with the safety help, obviously. The same thing outside leverage. So it just wasn't set up very well. I didn't like it either. But
no,
it's great if you're the Bears to get the win. I don't know. Even as a Chiefs fan today, it was so hard watching a JV team lose and get throttled because I hate the Broncos. And anytime you can eliminate a team, you got to do it. But I'm pretty sure that the Dolphins didn't take care of business today, so it would have been the Bengals and ain't nobody want to see that. Nobody wants to see the Bengals in the playoffs. So I think overall it was worth getting the loss. But and the Bears almost missed that field goal too.
Yeah, he almost got blocked again. We almost had deja vu from the first time they played. But yeah, I saw someone the other day and they're like, "Oh, I think the Chiefs want the Bengals in the playoffs, so because that's their best chance of the Bills losing." I'm like, you realize the last team to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs was Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And they're like, "Well, the defense is really bad." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." I was like, "But that offense."
Yeah.
You don't want to have to put up 30 points to win a game. If you can go out there and your defense can win and you win 21-17, you're okay with that. But with that offense, they're going to get close to 30, 35 points every single game. And do the Chiefs have that offense that can put up that firepower right now? I don't know. I mean, they are getting healthier with some of these guys coming back, but still, you don't want to test that. Why would you want to play the one team that's beat you in the playoffs last time? So
no, thank you. Get him out of the playoff. Get the best pure quarterback in the league right now. Get him out. I don't want him. I don't want to see him. So we talked about obviously already the Bears. The Jaguars also won. The Patriots won their game, and the Panthers also won. Panthers put up 5 touchdowns from Bryce Young. I don't know if the Panthers are feeling good right now, but they should be feeling a lot better in that matchup against Michael Penix. But all 4 of those teams win, which actually hurts their draft stock. So I don't know who is it. Tennessee now has the number 1 seed or number 1 pick. Is that right?
Pick. Yeah.
So dude, go ahead and write it up now. It's Cam Ward. I don't think anything else besides that. It will. Yeah. So then it comes down to these next picks, but I don't know. In your mind as a fan, are you frustrated that they lost out on these opportunities, or are you more so like, no, a win's a win?
I mean, if I was the Patriots, I'd probably be pretty upset going, well, we have the number 1 pick. We could have traded it for a king's ransom, drafted us an offensive lineman. I mean, you're still going to probably get that offensive lineman where you're at now, but you also want those extra picks in there. And so I'm okay with the Panthers winning just because I think it shows the possibilities of what can be next year. And maybe the same thing with the Bears because they were only, I don't know if the Bears actually moved. I think they still stayed around 9 or 10. So it wasn't a huge deal for them. But I really like that the Panthers went out there and played Bryce Young. And then after the game, Dave Canales going, we got our quarterback. Give him all the confidence of the world. I mean, what Bryce Young has done these last 8 weeks after being benched for a few weeks, I think is a testament to him as a player. Being able to stay in that mindset, that ready mindset, going, okay, it may have been a small step back, but now we're going to come back stronger and potentially show why I was the number one pick in the draft. And that's what he's done. And you get some pieces around that guy, watch out.
I know it looks good. I mean, get 2 rushing touchdowns today. I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
sneaky good season for him, especially bounce
Yeah.
back. I mean, you look at C.J. Stroud, who did go 6 for 6, 81 yards and score today. He looked good
Mm-hmm.
in the series that they gave him, but the momentum is kind of stagnated. And then Bryce Young, it would only could
Yeah.
go up because it was so far down, but
Yeah.
at least he is
Yeah.
on the right direction. The other news, just to kind of relay off this, was Jerod Mayo gets fired after 1 season. But even before we get to Monday, which tomorrow we expect, and that's my follow-up question to you is who else is
Mm-hmm.
going to get their job taken away from them?
Yeah.
But that's just typical Monday after the end of the season. But
Mm-hmm.
Jerod Mayo, is there a reason why you think they did it already today?
No, I have no idea. I know people are like, oh, it's because they won. No, this was being reported before the game. Adam Schefter said it about 8, 9 o'clock this morning that there was internal discussions about, firing Jerod Mayo. I don't know if it's because of Mike Vrabel, but I'm like, if that's the case, then why didn't you sign Mike Vrabel last year instead of Jerod Mayo?
Yep.
I mean, it makes no sense to me. I don't like the one and dones typically when it comes to coaching because I mean, you didn't give the guy any chance. You put him in a terrible situation with that team the way it's built right now. You're not built to win. You knew you weren't going to win.
Yeah, and
And
he inherited a terrible team last year. I don't
yeah.
know if people remember how bad the offense was last year. They weren't great
Mm-hmm.
this year, but they were
Yeah.
better than last year with a rookie quarterback for most of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought they would give him at least another year or two to
Yeah.
get, some pieces in there because they're like I said, the offense line is awful. Wide receiver group, not great outside of Demario Douglas. Kayshon Boudy's played, pretty good the last, couple of weeks. Maybe there's some upside there, but other than that, you don't really have much offensive weapons. Ramondre Stevenson's kind of been just a shell of a player out there. They probably need another running back. I mean, the offensive weapons that Drake May has, there's just not any there. So I don't understand it, but I guess that's why I'm not the owner or GM.
Yeah. You know what this right now reminds me of a lot, and I say reminds me loosely. It's just what I remember before Tom Brady, before Drew Bledsoe, what the Patriots are like.
Yeah.
Guys, it's back to that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and there was some okay years in the mid to late 90s, but in the beginning of the 90s and the 80s, this team was terrible. They didn't have
Mm-hmm.
good culture, and this is another element of that. It just feels like they don't know what to do, what they did so long with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady,
Mm-hmm.
and since then it is fallen out the cracks, and they're just it's resorting back to what we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
And would you rather be this, or would you rather be what the Steelers are? We talked about the downturn of them, and the same thing last year, but they've had what 3 head coaches in 50 years. I mean, they just
Yeah.
don't get rid of guys, and their
Mm-hmm.
culture and their ownership has just said no, we're going to trust it in the long term, see what happens, get ourselves in position, and they have 6 Super Bowls. So like
Yeah.
something has worked with that style.
Yep.
Guys, if I was a Patriots fan right now, I would be a little bit on edge, thinking that, oh no, this is what it used to be.
Yeah. I mean, because what happens if you do bring in Vrabel and Vrabel goes, well, Drake May wasn't my quarterback. He wasn't the guy I wanted. And
Yeah,
now you're just going to restart the cycle because I think there's a lot of upside there for Drake May. I was
absolutely.
impressed with a lot of what he did. I mean, it's just going to be learning curve stuff where he's going to have to, you know, be able to read the field a little bit better and not make some dumb mistakes. But I think there's a lot of upside there. And people are like, oh, well, look what Joe Milton did today. I mean, come on now.
Joe Milton. No, and again, that was against backups. So I don't know what we're
Yes.
talking about. Yeah. If you're battling between Milton and him, we're not even gonna go down that rabbit hole. So can you give me maybe 2 or 3 other coaches that you feel pretty confident that they are done with the team that they're on right now?
Doug Peterson. I think he gets fired tomorrow.
If he
And
doesn't, man, I don't know what else he's got to do to get
yeah,
fired.
I think I'm going to say Mike McCarthy, but it's not because he's going to get fired. He's just a free agent. I think it sounds like he's pretty interested in the Saints job for some reason. But yeah, I think he's probably one of them. Trying to think some more guys. I think Kevin Stefanski probably needs to be fired, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be the
No, and I
move.
think they're gonna. And that's what's crazy. Is Jerod Mayo gets 1 year, inherits a terrible team.
Mhm.
Stefanski actually gets worse year over year, like
Yeah,
anemic offense, and just can't figure out an identity for that team. And he's
and
like, no, we're gonna keep him.
he's an offensive minded coach, and you had one of the worst offenses in the NFL, and you were one of the biggest proponents of pushing for Deshaun Watson and pushing Baker Mayfield out of the building. So maybe they're just like, oh well, he agreed with us on that. Let's go ahead and keep him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Shane Steichen is another guy. I think the Colts may end up moving on from him.
Yeah, there's some of these teams. I mean, you're looking at just even record-wise underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be. I mean, obviously the Raiders are going to be looking for a coach, and that just. I mean, maybe
Probably
Oklahoma fans and see a Texas head coach move on to the next level.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. It means that Nick Saban goes to Texas, though. Nah, let's not do that.
No.
So I got one other question for you, real quick. Where's Aaron Rodgers playing next year? Because I don't buy that he's retiring.
I don't either. I'm gonna say Aaron Rodgers stays in New York and goes to the Giants. They're going to want to bring in a veteran quarterback because they're probably going to try to draft Shedeur Sanders or someone. So I think they're going to bring in a veteran quarterback. He said he's willing to
tutor,
mentor, mentor, whatever you want to use. Word you want to use. I think that's a good place. I think he could potentially end up because he seems like he likes New York.
Yeah. A lot of attention there, and he does, have some attention that he loves. So,
or potentially Las Vegas.
I could see that either. If Vegas can't get Shedeur Sanders, who again I think that they're going to do whatever they can to get Shedeur. We're going to get more into that in the draft season, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Are you still going with Detroit in tonight's game as we record?
I mean, now I'm rooting for the Vikings, even though I hate the Vikings more, just because I think the path for the Packers is impossible. Now, I mean, go to Philadelphia, then you either have to go to Detroit. I'd much rather go to Minnesota.
Yeah. No, I feel that too. It's going to be tough. It should be a good game, but everybody, if you have not already, make sure you hit subscribe to the show. You can do it there in the little red. But you got something. What's up?
We got a giveaway winner real quick.
Oh, you got to announce it. I was like, okay. Yeah, all right.
Giveaway winner. So the giveaway winner for the Lenny Moore signed jersey for the month of December is Arbo82. So Arbo82, if you're listening to this, you hear this video, whatever, message our Instagram page, the.w podcast on Instagram. Give me your address, name, and I'll try to get it out to you this week.
Yeah, let's go. Way to go. Arbo
82.
Way to go. Thanks for the subscribe, man. We definitely appreciate that. Or person, I'm just going to say thank you for subscribing to the show. Whoever you are, we're grateful for you. If you had not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button because every single month we're doing a giveaway and we want you to be on the receiving end of that free signed jersey, helmet, whatever it is. We got lots of stuff coming up, and the easiest way to get qualified is simply just subscribe to the show. It'd mean a lot. But we're going to roll on out here and we're going to watch this game. And then you know what? Tomorrow's episode, we've got some predictions for this week's semifinal matchups in the college football playoff. So, till then, see y'all next time.
See ya.
See ya.